And yeah, shout out to you guys. Welcome to social media. My name is Duck. In real life, my name is Nathan. Online, I go by Duck, and I'm super excited to be here. I hope you guys are too. And yeah, we're going live for the second time today. So say shout out, what's up, as you guys come in, and yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, we're not doing show notes based on ChatGPT. I talk a lot. You guys know I'm a yapper. I'm a yapper, reader, listener, all these types of things. And so I'm not looking to, right, I'm not sorting the social hierarchy myself today. In my own personal relationships, I don't attempt to say who I am, who other people are. I try not to, and all this other stuff. I don't try to be anything, anything other than just what I'm doing, what I'm talking about at that moment in time, et cetera, et cetera. And so, yeah, I got the faux hawk back. I'm going to rediscover who I am as a person because apparently the internet wanted this. And so I'm down, right? I'm happier this way. I'm excited to use my energy this way and all this other stuff. So I'm going to write this out. Can you make a short list of 10 random facts or ideas in political science? And please keep them to 1 or 2 sentences. Yeah, so I'm going to do, maybe I could have just titled the stream this. Maybe I could have just titled, I could have probably just done this a different way. But yeah, I have a list of 10 political science facts. So I'm going to go through and over the course of the stream, we're going to cover at least 10 political science facts, see how many I actually remember. I'll tell you guys which ones I remember learning about, which ones I've thought about recently maybe, and who knows, maybe we can explore some of these topics together. And yeah, so I do have a degree in political science. I don't claim to be an expert, but I'm passionate about it. I like it. It's cool. I think it's a good way to see the world. And especially in 2026, we see the violence coming from the MAGA Republican Party, right? We're expected to not see Iranians. We're expected to not see people living in China. We're expected to not see people in even Australia, Canada, like people like us. And so I don't accept that, guys. I'm not saying you guys have to go out and be like super punk rock or whatever. You guys, I know I look like I have a quail on my head or something, but hey, this is just how guys like me used to do it. Didn't have to be perfect, but the faux hawk, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Hey, what's up, Brooks Gaming? Shout out to you. Shout out to you. Yeah, shout out to the gaming streamers. Earlier, guys, I'll admit it, we did like a Gooner stream. Heck yeah, folks came in saying whatever they wanted to, stuff like that. We do try and keep it a little bit PG-13 here. And so shout out to the gamers, everyone else. Amber Phillips, hey there to you too. Yeah, W for sure, right? Let's take off, right? W's, let's go, baby. I used to be a big time Halo gamer. This was back when I was studying a bunch of this stuff. And so, yeah, if you guys want to hear some political science facts, see what we're all about here, let me give you an idea. And if you guys have opinions about politics, philosophy, life, religion, you want me to slow down, pick up a topic, just let me know. You guys don't have to super chat. I do appreciate support. I appreciate seeing you guys sending gifts, super chats to your favorite streamers. Oh, cool. Enjoy your day at work. Amber Phillips. What up, AP? A channel. Yep, it is A channel. We try to be like an A grade channel. We attempt to do our best here as well. I have a YouTube channel. Cool. Hey, shout out to you guys. Yeah, other creators, people. I use YouTube. I also have been making content for about 2 years. Hey, what's up, Rahul Sharma? Good to see you. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to all of my folks, friends in the West, in the US. I'm in sunny Arizona, wherever you guys are from. Heck yeah, we are all in this together, right? And so shout out to you, everyone. What up? Right? And so, yeah. And hey, Marcos. Yeah, so you guys can offer your opinions, but I'm going to go through these political science facts. You guys want me to talk something? Yeah, go be talking to other YouTubers too. Hey, what's going on? We got Taco here, Mega Bloodbath Debates, a great YouTuber in his own right. A lot of good Christian, atheist style debates, that kind of stuff. So shout out to Mega Bloodbath Debates. And cool. Yeah, shout out other millennials, Gen Xers, Gen Zers, Gen A's, whatever. Yeah, retired folks, all that kind of stuff too. I'm also retired, right? I'm a full-time content creator, so that means I'm retired. Full-time, part-time. So we did about 2.5 hours earlier, and I'm going to keep going into it. And yeah, Yeah, absolutely. Saving unrighteous theists who don't adopt our shared naturalistic, atheistic reality. And yeah, here on the Ducks Y channel, yeah, absolutely. There's going to be some folks who maybe agree with you, disagree. We're talking about political and social significance. And yeah, keep on going, guys. I want to encourage you, whatever you guys are doing in your own life. Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's awesome, right? Because no one can take away. If you had fun, you learned for 5, 10, 15 minutes, you had fun, you learned. Maybe it was worth your cup of coffee. It was worth getting out of bed for. Maybe it was worth skipping, skipping the club, skipping, whatever else we were going to go do, whatever it is. Yeah, keep going, guys. In my own life, I'm 36. I've spent a lot of time, not like doing Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Stoicism, not trying to be unfeeling, having no emotions. It's so hard, right? But trying to connect with people through society, technology, nature, try to connect ideas through other things. YouTube official. Oh, cool. Hey, shout out to you. Yeah, I don't agree with the ICE administration. AOC campaigned on abolishing ICE. So a lot of Democrats did, in fact, right? Your constituents, people in your district don't want you taking away their neighbors. They don't want high-speed car chases. They don't want judges, corrupt judges in the pockets of the federal administration. These are all reasons why you should think about abolishing ICE. And so, on the best day, I think ICE is a great upstanding law enforcement agency. ICE can be people that are just trying to execute the laws that we have today. And they know they're doing so because people that they maybe investigate or arrest are ultimately going back to a justice system that cares about them, cares about their due process, cares and insists that they have lawyers that can represent them, and cares and insists that the laws are being enforced the entire time. And so when we see that maybe this just isn't the case with human migration, with immigration, it seems like it continuously fails. And maybe it's also the case that, yeah, your political opinion actually is more valid than some other people's because this is causation in action, right? You cannot hate someone because they're different, because they look different, because they speak a different language, because they talk around the dinner table in a slightly different way than you, or because or like the worst case is just because you're selfish or greedy. You wanted more of the same thing. You won't admit it, but you didn't want people competing for your job or something like this, right? And so you get these made up logics, made up reasons. You get all these made up worldviews because people want more and more and more and more. And then you have more and more. What do you do with the extra money? You do dumb stuff, right? You do dumb stuff. You spend it on the military. You hire 100,000 federal police officers. You tout around these morons and no offense, but guys like Tom Homan, guys like Todd Lyons. You put them up to go do the television hit piece. You put these people up to go talk down to people. And so absolutely, from my perspective, I see it as it absolutely is the case that the Trump administration has behaved badly. I'm not in favor of the ICE administration. We've seen them on the news. We've saw the footage where you have these horrible, horrendous events of citizens getting shot in the street, of mommies and daddies getting taken away from their kids with no legal representation, their kids getting lost in these prisons, these gulags that Donald Trump has set up. And so the reality of it is my judgment, my discerning opinion about ICE is Donald Trump's not managed the program at all. None of the promises he made to voters could actually be fulfilled in reality. MAGA Republicanism is just another scam to make people feel comfortable, right? ICE is not the only bad actor in the American political system, and we can see the principles, right? Here's something from political science: median voter theorem. Median voter theorem. Do I have myself up? Let me see. Let me put this in chat, actually, guys. Here we go. Whoops. Let me see. I'm sorry. I'm going to get copyright struck by myself, guys. I'm my own favorite rapper. Hey, what's going on? I'm going to do some shout outs. We got Winnison tuning in from Europe. Good to see you. We've got Marius. We got Brett or Brady. Noah Gamer still in chat. Capel and Winson again. So here's what I'm going to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about median voter theorem. And so you ask why, like an ICE administration in any democracy maybe gets passed so overwhelmingly. And it's because MAGA Republicans maybe ran on these platforms that don't actually accomplish a political result. Maybe they have no correspondence, no way to produce a consequential result that is either politically beneficial, it's normative, it's good for people, right? It's healthy, it's positive. It somehow produces a change that's going to exist, a change people will think about. It's going to change the political system. And maybe this is because MAGA Republicans can put up their little social media account, Donald Trump's little cronies, right? I'm not talking Donald Trump Jr. I'm not talking about Jared Kushner. I'm not talking about the nepotism. I'm just saying you could go attach on to Darkwing Duck, right? You could go latch on to your favorite cartoon character running for president in Donald Trump. Donald Trump says he's not a communist. He says he's not an authoritarian. And yet it seems so weird when he packs his suitcase to go travel down to Jeff Epstein's island or to Mar-a-Lago. It seems that he's got 100,000 people in tow who want to be just like him, right? They want to push it back into the political system for a revolution. So we should support Donald Trump. He's an American first revolutionary. Isn't this crazy? Isn't this a wildly good idea? Well, political science says you don't actually have to have that big of an opinion on it, right? Mega Bloodbath in chat, one of our great moderators, also a great YouTuber, is right. Hey, if he likes Darkseid Phil himself, he's saying things all the way. Let's maybe lose some weight. Let's cut some of the baggage. So median voter theorem says that a majority rule system, politicians tend to adopt positions that appeal to the average voter to maximize support. So what is a majority rule system? A majority rule system is talking about a system of government where you have either an electoral majority or an absolute majority of the votes, and this determines the politicians. This then goes on to the Congress, and the Congress may then seek majority politics or a supermajority or majority to pass policy. So ICE gets funded, right? EBT benefits, housing reform, rent controls, these things get approved by a majority. EPA regulations get approved ultimately by a majority. The politicians who choose who do these jobs gets approved by the majority. Protecting people's Second Amendment rights or protecting specific aspects of the Second Amendment, right? These things get approved by politicians. Repealing the Second Amendment, these things get approved by politicians. Making sure we have peaceful budgets for the rest of the world. Geopolitics, if Congress does manage that, they usually don't, but that would also, at least for the president or executives, maybe governors, this also gets, once again, approved by a majority. So median voter theorem suggests that these majority rule systems or a majoritarian politics, which we spend our time filling ourselves in talking about, a majority rule system, politicians tend to adopt positions that appeal to average voters. Yes, average voters, maybe they think about the taxes in our paychecks. They think about where they can actually choose to live, where they can actually choose to take their family. They choose about where they can go in order to live their best lives, right? Their version of an American dream. Or you think about your identity just relative to your family, your community. Maybe it is your church. Maybe it is the type of work you do. Maybe it's the type of education your kids are going to get. It's the type of education your wife or spouse or partner should be reminding you that is going to set them up to be successful, compassionate, kind, social, pro-social, all of these things. And so this majority voter theorem says you adopt strategies, tactics, you go through and people that don't have the best interests of other people in their lives will go and lie to people. You'll go lie to people is what this is saying, right? I'm on YouTube. I can say that. And so let me just make sure if you're just tuning in, I'm going to go ahead and pin this down. I'm so sorry for taking your time up. But yeah, median voter theorem suggests that a majority rule system, politicians will lie. They'll also adopt the easy route. Hey, this is so fast. This is so easy. Why don't you guys go listen to Fox News or go listen to MSNBC, go listen to CNN, anything except tuning into ABC, right? What's going on with other people, the rest of the country? If we're all going to be carrying on, is there a more efficient way to do the big thing? Politicians will not talk about it. They only want your individual vote. So median voter theorem is saying that, yeah, there is just a strategy or a tactic that's adopted. And so who knows? Does AOC do this? I don't think so. She risked her political career with the Green New Deal. New Yorkers could have very easily said, hey, not in my borough, not in any of the boroughs. None of my boroughs want to talk about big oil, big gas. They don't want to talk about the environment, the ecology. They don't want to talk about veganism. They don't want to talk about gay, straight, trans LGBTQIA identity. They don't want to talk about racism anymore. AOC, I'm sick of you, right? New Yorkers could have said this and they didn't. So median voter theorem, maybe it's a way to look at and find the types of ideas or platforms, not just sounding and looking good, but saying, hey, who am I going to vote for this year, right? That's my actual political opinion. My moral belief is maybe I support people who are in the working class. Maybe my moral belief is I support treating beings who are like us and not like us in a strong way. Maybe my moral belief is I believe in conservative values. Maybe my moral belief is that I do not support authoritarian measures. Hey, thanks, Charity. Shane, good to see you. All politicians do this. What are you talking about? I agree with your opinions. Can I be a mod? Hey, Jason, I'm not modding anyone just this second, but shout out to you, brother. Ducks, you're talking about rubbish. Do better. Oh, come on. You got to offer something a little bit substantive. You got to offer something a little bit substantive. I just dropped the pin link that we're talking about. Hey, lessons. Great to see you again. Great to see you again. Yeah, and so this is what political science is kind of like a little bit. When we talk about a median voter theorem, we have to define a majority rule system. Is it a democracy? Is it like these parliamentary systems? Is it like a republic where we elect people in our local townships in the US? I know, so boring. No one wants to talk about that. But hey, that's right. Is it the case that politicians in Argentina or Brazil? Is it the case that politicians in Cuba? Is it the case that politicians in Iran or Israel or Palestine are talking about these majority systems? You can see there's some things that may piss you off, right? Hamas seized power after an election, right? They became sort of an authoritarian government alongside the Palestinian Authority, right? The People's Authoritarian Authority Guard. Hamas said, we will govern alongside you. And so you can say this clearly does not look or sound like this. So no, median voter theorem does not apply to if you use authority or force, right? It also has nothing to do with, if you were confused, it has nothing to do with our ability to exert political violence as a species and civilization. This is something way older. This stretches all the way back to ancient Mesopotamia. So when we stretch back to ancient Mesopotamia, what are political scientists talking about? Well, they weren't there. Turns out very simple, right? You have Hammurabi's code. You've got the Egyptians using the ancient Greek language to write their laws, and everyone else, you get these polytheistic religious texts in ancient Europe. And so, yeah, political scientists were not in ancient Egypt. Political scientists were not in the time of Jesus. They were not in the time of, Muhammad, peace be upon him, to any of the Muslims in chat. And they were also not around for the Jews, right? The songs that we sung to King David, none of those things were politically informed. Hamas was elected. How do you mean they seized power? So you're saying that in Palestine, Rick Young, that there was free and fair elections. You're saying that there were not other Islamist ideologies. There were not perhaps more theocratic Ba'athist or secular Ba'athist ideas that existed in Palestine. They were not, right? And so you might say Hamas is like a nationalist group, right? I believe that's sort of accurate. Is that not true? Is it or isn't true that Hamas and Hezbollah are like, you could compare them to nationalist groups. You could compare them, say they're like Turning Point USA or something, right? If Turning Point USA said, well, we're the new MAGA Republicans, and we want to take over the ballot box, right? This would be, the ideas being produced would be like Hamas or like Hezbollah. Is that not true? It either is or it isn't. I think it is. Yeah. Cool. Thanks for the subscription, Crystal. Great to see you. You guys can bring up topics. I know I'm talking through you guys, but I want to be able to start conversations too and stuff like this. The West Bank and Gaza are two different places. Okay, cool. Yeah. So you have wealthier and less wealthy areas. And I still don't know what that has to do with the actual, if you're breaking things up on a grid, that doesn't change the fact that Palestine could have been described as under the control of a nationalist social Islamic group, right? Hamas, right? Again, this doesn't justify any violence. What are you going to do? Even a landmass as small as Palestine or the West Bank or Gaza, whatever you want to do, you can pull up 100 maps for me. What are you going to do? You're going to do Operation Dumbo Drop, and all of a sudden everybody all of a sudden is going to agree for a democracy. I don't believe that's actually the case. And so I think we could talk geopolitics or we could talk something else, but that's a slightly different conversation. I don't know. I'm sorry. How will we preserve the individual? Well, an individual does have an opinion. That's a great question. I'm gonna get some coffee. Actually, I'll be right back. Right back. I'm sorry. All right, we back. Have no fear. Boring as Duck is here. I'm sorry. Have no fear. Boring Duck was here. Yeah, and so with this question too, let me go ahead and drop mine off or whatever. But yeah, unpinned message. Okay, so with the individual, I think my own opinion is I still get to vote based on my interests, right? And I still want a paid off mortgage. I still want a nice car. And so even if I virtue signal and say I'm a vegan, progressive Democrat, sustainability, cosmopolitan, world advocate, or something like this, I still personally, for me, myself, and I see it being the case that I still may vote, especially younger, older. I still may vote or support political messages about wealth, about individual wealth, about property rights, about rule of law, and about civil liberties, and about civil society. So I start sounding like a conservative. Well, not really, right? Just because I support a minimal government, just because I do believe that individual interest has to be represented in a society or civilization. Hey, what's up, Noah Gamer? Good to see you again. Thanks for the cool YouTube emojis, waves, and high fives. So my own opinion is I preserve individualism because I just have biases too, right? I can be a biased individual. Maybe I can be a psychological individual. I can be also then not just a biased individual, but I can be a moral individual too. Hey, what's up, Leo? Good to see you. Good to see you. Leo's been an awesome support of the channel, so hopefully you're having a great freaking Wednesday, Leo. Good to see you, homie. The U.S. has become just like China. War seems inevitable at this point. How about protecting your own citizens for once? Hey, that's a good. Hey, Malmati, that's a really great point. When we look at defense spending, when we look at the desire to build like the elite class, right? Not the Illuminati, not the deep state elite, but yeah, you're educated, right? Maybe it's the case that you're focusing on success in the top 1% capital class. You're focusing on the success of those who use the most energy. You're focusing on the success of people who have the most advanced degrees and can apply their skills. And the U.S. is just like this. When we've said we're liberal individualists, you still have lots of government stimulus and subsidies for defense spending, right? You have taxpayer dollars going to defense, to aerospace, to transportation, to shipping. You have taxpayer dollars supporting this through agriculture. There's a lot of things. Want to learn a trick? Yeah, sure. Yeah. Go super. I'm still pushing and batting out. I got a couple YouTube shekels that'll be coming to me when I finish setting it up. But yeah, I'm super excited to go. Hey, I ain't going widescreen, baby. We ain't going horizontal yet. No, I do want Taco. I want if anybody wants to send corgis and huskies, guys, I'll put this in chat. Here, I'll show you how we do it here, Taco. You're gonna be disgusted, but this is how easy this is, brother. This is how easy this is, brother. Let's do it like this, Taco. Here. Bam. Yeah, you're gonna call me out for my grift skills. You guys don't think I got grift skills? Watch this. The US become just, yeah, and so that's a cool. I mean, I'd love to know more about what you think, but when you ask me at the end of this, how about protecting your own citizens for once? How about protecting your own citizens for once, right? And so you're actually asking for long-term support, right? That's what that is. That's actually a long-term form of support, whether you see it or not. Is national security gets back in focus and refocused. And the biggest problem, right? So this is to Malmati's question up in chat, is actually it is the case that you make a lot of money. Military spending is an economic stimulus. Deregulating energy to a point is also an economic stimulus. And so things that are bad for the planet, bad for civilization, are good for economies. This is also political science. This is also economics 102. You know, what you learn after you learn supply and demand and Keynes and in laissez-faire, Hayek or Milton Friedman, this Western style, right? How liberal capitalism works. But what's bad for your civilization, is good for your economy. And so maybe we as people on the YouTubes or in civil society as global citizens, we can start talking about, well, I'm sick of it. I don't want to pay for things that are bad for other people. I don't want to pay for things that increase the risk of unnecessary animal and human suffering. And I'm not going to vote for politicians that want to go do that. Right. And so the US doesn't have a central state like China does. And so the nice thing is we should believe that if geopolitical pressures and economic aggressions and economic pressures, right, the models that we work in, if those fundamentally change, if there's different layers of acceptability, then things like lending can go back. Lending can go back to development goals. Lending can go back to sustainability goals instead of government goals and stuff like that. So I think you ask a really great and a sharp question as well. A really great and a really sharp question as well. Why can't we just have spaghetti and puppies, right? To me saying that, I need to be a carnivore who is consuming like can you be the leader? I probably can't, right? I could run for president. I'm legally qualified to run for president, but yeah, I don't want my habitat, my pattern, what I lock into and stuff like this. I don't want my pattern and habitat to be impacting other beings that I don't see even, right? And so this is hard because I don't work on a farm. I don't work at an oil rig. I don't work at a power plant. But I do work in a little office. I can imagine that my microphone, I can imagine that my time, the energy, the coffee I drink, I can imagine that this is all me taking from the world. And so, yeah, this can be a political idea. It can be about competition, saying that circular economies, efficiency, about some reasonableness. These are all political values, even if they don't come from the land mass of the United States. Really boring. I know. I'm so sorry, guys. And yeah, I would like, and so when you guys inform the conversation and stuff, right? If you say, can you be the leader? I read that, and maybe I'm wrong for this, but like, to me, it feels like you're asking, can you be like a dictator or an authoritarian? Were we okay to elect Trump, even if he's a bad president, if he behaves like an authoritarian and a dictator? And to me, there's a moral and a ontological problem, right? A president is just leading an office. They're ultimately leading a budget. And even when they make really bad decisions and go to war and stuff like this, the best you get out of it was this person was a really bad president. And so I don't believe in asking others to be the leader. If I'm acting like that, I'm super sorry and I apologize and sorry and stuff like this. Yeah. And yeah, absolutely. So, whatever. That's how I feel about it, man. I think all the viewership dropped and the likes went down because my hair is messed up, guys. Hey, what's up, homie? Don Blazarian. Nah, I don't gamble, brother. You want to play some poker, though? You want to play some single deck blackjack about it? I'll play some single deck blackjack, brother. You don't gotta ask me twice. And Brazilian. Okay, cool. Yeah, hey, I understand both those things, right? Big old paycheck, right? I think that's what the gooner side of the internet said I should desire is a big paycheck, a BBL, big booty Latina or something. Oh, dude, they're trying to find me a new audience that doesn't like philosophy and shit. Y'all don't like no money. You don't like money and women. What you know about masculinity, brother? Yeah. Real men wear black shirts, right? That's what I think. Yeah. Real men wear black shirts, and they over 20 to 30 years, they work their way out of internet time. Hey, what's up, Ping Guy? Hey, thank you. Ping Guy, I'll go ahead and put you in if you want to hang out, I'll just give you a 1-minute timeout. I appreciate seeing that you're contributing in chat, and thank you. Yeah. What would I do? If this is just what my beard is like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do to make it less effeminate or something. Oh, shout out. Sorry, I don't pick up on that stuff that well. Thank you though, Rand Caton. I like philosophy. Cool. Yeah. In my tiny, silly, stupid world, I'm not Canadian. No, I'm not Canadian. I'm from the southwest of the United States. So my state we have about 300 miles of border with Mexico. And so my cosmopolitan identity is a lot about like, well, look, I know I've worked with Mexican dudes, Mexican chicks my entire life. And so I don't see why we don't have a different political description of what we do, what we talk about. We talk about the same things, and I'm able to hold on to that. And, a lot of Arizonans, it used to be except for when the Tea Party came, people would say, right, like these people deserve their own autonomy and sovereignty. And like, does this work in the American legal system? And most people will be like, yeah, it does, right? I know we've got laws for immigration and stuff, but it does work. It still does work. And yeah, so that's what that is to me as well. And yeah, man. Cheers. Last little splash of coffee, guys. L'chaim or Salancha. L'chaim, Salancha, everybody. Yeah, autonomy. I think of autonomy, bodily autonomy, or our ability to make choices for our physiology ourselves. Like obviously, you don't have a choice over, the floor, right? The floor for it is you don't have choice over, if you're born without an arm or like a cleft palate or something like this, you're born with impacted molars or teeth, or you're born. You have a different ability, right? You have a different ability. So whether it's, it's bipolar or ASPD, or it is Down syndrome or something like this, we don't choose those things, but you still do get to choose kind of where you are, where you're able to go. You get to choose maybe, you don't get to choose what your school curriculum is, but you choose if you believe it or not, right? And so you don't get to be worse off just because you chose not to believe something. So that's what I think of as autonomy. Yeah, and in a political sense, I think, Charlie Kirk would equivocate it and say, well, atheists didn't choose to be moral. Or Charlie Kirk would say really mean things that's like, well, atheists didn't choose to, you can't penalize and attack Christians because they choose to believe in God. And yeah, the weird thing is when you put it all together, it loses its meaning entirely, right? It's poor Charlie felt a certain way about some things, I would reckon. And, reckon if I had an excavator of the philosophical type, that I could dig up what old Charlie wanted us to say. I could dig up what he thought out of his arguments. His old debate tapes and stuff are up there. But yeah. And so, but yeah, like a great baseline is political autonomy might mean that you believe that if you believe that forms of capitalism are exploitative or abusive, you still see that represented in your democracy somewhere, right? You don't have a right to it, but you can produce civil society around that idea. And then you support the actual physical laws, right? It's not just your idea and value in being in society, but you support the actual physical law book, the physical people supporting the physical law about not throwing people in prison for no reason, right? Not giving them due process, not giving them an expert attorney to navigate a complex process, right? These are not rocket science ideas. And so saying that you have to go to rocket science because I don't understand why the 10 Commandments can't be in a Bible at school or something like this, like that's, and the US is doing this all the time now. I know some of the folks tuning in are in Europe. In the US, we got Bibles coming back to schools. Very funny, haha, guys, but it isn't that funny, right? These are people's kids and stuff like this. I haven't seen Monstrous Perfection. I've never read the Ayn Rand either. I should probably catch up on some of those types of ideas, I think. And Kirk really wasn't that deep of a thinker. No, he was, Kirk was a nationalist who wanted to call himself a neoconservative, right? Charlie Kirk would have maybe self-described as a neoconservative or a Christian national ideologue. But yeah, in reality, it was like a delusional form of nationalism is actually what it was. And yeah, there's a big difference between like George Bush was a neoconservative and him and his dad did stupid things like they wanted you to be able to trade oil rights. They wanted you to create secondary. So you have digital fake oil because oil is so valuable, because coal is so valuable. You could make a digital coal version, like a sort of like a blockchain version. You could speculate on what coal and oil was going to be worth, and they say, hey, that's harmless. Yeah, it's like a Pokemon card for energy or something, right? So you could trade Pokemon cards and Digimon and Yu-Gi-Oh cards, TCG based on oil and energy and stuff like this. Hey, good to see you again, Stillme. Yeah. And so like these guys were neoconservatives because they had this stupid idea that Americans are so smart about their Pokemon card oil securities, fake shit, right? That they can hold it all together. And it turned out that was wrong, right? It turned out that wasn't correct, right? It wasn't actually a national value or in the national interest. Physically, the system just wasn't supported anywhere, right? It just wasn't supported. And so, yeah, Charlie Kirk didn't even have that level of depth, right? Charlie Kirk didn't have a college degree, and that's not a knock on him, but it sort of is, right? If you have an audience of 100 million people, your audience, and you are unable to elucidate why Enron failed, why that was about the Republican Party, right? You were unable to elucidate how on God's green earth spending $100 billion a year on federal security forces for a non-problem produces a change or a difference, right? That's what ICE is, right? And Charlie Kirk just didn't have the intellectual hardware to ask the question or to answer it. Yeah, and that's the reality too, right? That isn't, you're obviously, I'm not telling you what to believe, or that's your opinion that Charlie Kirk lacked the intellectual hardware. However, it is absolutely the case. Philosophy Who Needs It by Ayn Rand. Okay, if that's a real book, I'll actually look it up. I'll actually look up. Whoops, where was I going? Sorry. Oh, cool. Yeah, I got it up in my browser, so I'll look it up. But yeah, it isn't a prescription to you to say Charlie Kirk lacked the intellectual hardware and software. He lacked the knowledge and skills to analyze or produce his own ideas or to say something useful or even meaningful, right? So Charlie Kirk had grammar about other people's ideas, but in reality, yeah, Charlie Kirk was unequipped. And so, yeah, people who disagreed with the Bush family's politics might say, yeah, you let something go too long. And even when you saw that it wasn't working, you saw the first warning signs that the building was wobbling. just because you're ideological or you couldn't be politically associated with your bad idea, right? You're too close to a pile of poop. You're too close to something that's failing. It's going to be 6-7 to some people. It's not going to be 6-7 to others. And so George Bush watches Enron fail. He remembers that this was the cornerstone promise he made to free markets, he made to voters. This idea of deregulation it was basically entailing all kinds of Pokemon cards. It was entailing, taking pictures and doing Ansel Adams photography of collapsing ecologies. And so, all kinds of indicators, Florida is going to be underwater, but you can't be close to it when it doesn't work. You can just say it, right? So people obviously get mad, but you imagine there's still workability in the system. And eventually you'll win on insistence, you'll win on values, you'll win on reality, right? When you have wishy-washy, dreamy, patriarchal, magical, supernatural thinking in the Republican Party, Democrats and progressives, people who like demand-side economics, not Hayekian, but instead alongside more like Keynesian economics and peacefulness, they're going to win. So that's my very long form response to that, is that if you say Charlie Kirk wasn't that deep of a thinker, yeah, he was worse than some of the least effective or least expedient even presidents in US history by a long shot. And that shouldn't be surprising. George Bush, him and his dad both go to top tier universities, or they do well enough and stuff. Both of them are always around billionaires and Washington insiders. So they have a great education. You could probably sit down and disagree, but have a long cup of coffee with either George Bush or his dad. But Charlie Kirk, it shouldn't be surprising that he's not even in the same ballpark. Like, if this is like the 71st floor of an executive meeting or something in Chicago or Los Angeles, Charlie Kirk would be hoping for a call back to park your car. So Charlie Kirk is sort of a neoconservative, but this is also why I say Charlie Kirk is a nationalist. Charlie Kirk was a nationalist. He was a religious ideologue. He was a Christian nationalist, and he just wanted to be seen as a neoconservative, or that his ideas fit in this intellectual space maybe, but there's no evidence that he could provide that could be the case. Again, he maybe had Hot Topic posters in his bedroom. Who knows? When Turning Point was first starting up, he said, Erica, I want to hang up these, you can do it kitten posters, with a picture of Alan Greenspan or something. And that's about as close as he got to sharing coherent ideas, right? But again, because he was an idiot, right? Charlie Kirk was uneducated, unintelligent. He was entertaining. He was a showman. He was a charlatan or a snake oil salesman. Hey, Josh, Charlie Kirk was a good listener. Yeah, absolutely. He was smarter than any college student, wise beyond his years. College is useless. Hey, Brooklyn Plants, shout out to you from the boroughs to the boroughs. It's true that you can actually place your ideas somewhere. Where would Charlie Kirk place his? Miami-Dade. Charlie Kirk here's that proof. Here's evidence, and this is true. Someone wants to argue with Charlie Kirk back in the day, and obviously rest in peace, Charlie, but they wanted to argue Pablito, right? They wanted to argue Pablo Escobar. They wanted to talk about cigarette boats coming into Miami. Charlie Kirk would have been just as equipped to talk about that as he would have his politics. But Charlie Kirk was the CEO of a nonprofit political organization, or a for-profit, whatever it was, whatever Turning Point is, whatever it's supposed to be. So Charlie Kirk obviously has had 600 employees. The highest paid employee at Turning Point makes $35,000 a year. You have one board president you had to hire who works part-time and makes $110,000 a year for part-time work because you needed that person to work at Turning Point. So Charlie Kirk, despite him being, sarcastically, who knows, a humanitarian or whatever it was he thought he was, he can talk about Netflix and drug dealers as much as he can talk about politics. So college education isn't useless. College education is useful, but people who take your time and attention endlessly and won't admit it, those people, those ideas, those are not useful for developing more compassionate or accurate or empathetic political beliefs. Waiver Josh doesn't like that. Yeah. And so obviously Turning Point is still built on Charlie Kirk's legacy. So I'm informing in the real world, what was Charlie Kirk's legacy? And so, this is just like I said earlier, guys. This isn't a strategy or a tactic. It's not meant to dehumanize you or call you out. But, when we see things like, well, Charlie Kirk just wanted to defend people who believed in Christianity. Well, Charlie Kirk was defending the shoving of religion down people's throats, right? And so I get to talk about that legacy that, again, an uneducated, uninformed, random ass guy who used to go grift from public access television that Donald Trump is now defunded. This internet random basically that got famous for being good on camera, for being able to talk endlessly, however you want to see it. It's not really my place to say, but if it looks the part, if it just would fit in, and that's what it is. Charlie Trump was a Dumo dump. So you're upset about it. But I'm going to keep going down. I'm on camera. I've got the mic, so I'm going to be honest about what Charlie Kirk talked about. He said he wanted to be famous, so now you're famous, buddy. Other people's physiology bothers me. Hey, that's true for a lot of people. Hey, Mike Salmon, good to see you. Ulysses Woods. Hey, shout out. Any other beard owners? Yeah, anybody who's got either equity or dividends coming to you per the equity or various convertible debt instruments for beards. Shout out to you guys. I appreciate y'all. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about it. CEO of being Grr. Hey, shout out to the CEOs in chat. Shout out to everyone, right? We should show each other equal respect. If you guys want to listen to me, suggest a topic, support me, or go support some other creators, right? If you make $400,000 a year, why not upload a little money, see what some of your favorite channels are about, join us, right? Build alongside us by funding our expertise. So you guys can support me either by super chat, by sending some of those corgi stickers, super stickers, etc. And it's good to see everybody. I'm going to keep going. Proud of King Charles. He did Britain proud. Oh, man. So Gary, I feel ashamed I didn't follow this. I know it's a big deal to see King Charles coming to the United States. And of course, I hope he could talk some sense into Donald Trump. Britain has their own issues. People are wondering, well, is Britain part of Europe? Is Europe part of Britain? What actually makes sense? And can we maybe get back to civilly discussing it, civilly getting back to arguing about the rich and the poor, to making sense of stratification, making sense of change, making sense of British identity? Isn't Britain a place that used to do the world good, right? Britain did used to do the world good. Britain's had their own problems with civil rights in their history, and maybe there's accounting for ownership of some of this, but Britain certainly isn't. They didn't produce a Karl Marx who told people that, the factory owners are deep state already. You just didn't see it yet. You missed out on that one. Right? I'm not knocking on, if you identify as a Marxist, I'm not knocking on you for that. I'm not knocking on you at all. I like Karl Marx as a philosopher. He's sensuous, he's exciting, he's sexy. He approaches violence and death and keeps it intellectual, right? He makes sex sell. And he was both a social scientist, an economist, as well as a philosopher. So Karl Marx is great, but Britain didn't get sucked into this. And then, you've got whatever. So I do think people have something to be proud of in Britain, and some great philosophies about going to live and work in the factory, not just being the one who says, hey, well, I've heard, mate, I've heard, great Guinness beers, Boddingtons, great stuff. So shout out to the UKers here. Hey, thanks for the compliment, Bree. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Somebody's asking if I like black girls. I'll talk about that generally. I like all people, right? I like all people as friends. I'm neurodivergent. So for me, it's like, okay, if you respect my space and autonomy, I respect yours as well. Surprise, there you go. Cool. Great mystery solved, right? Great mystery now solved. So I think to me, the right framing is not about heterodox or heteronormative relationships. The correct framing is about decency and respect. Something that's worth it ultimately then becomes more to me about like, okay, cool. So you're you, I'm me. And yeah, there's like, I like doing activities and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean just because I like playing table tennis or like going to the gym, that doesn't mean I'm open for dating, right? It usually doesn't. So yeah, I think I'm anti-racist. I'm pro-allyship. I love philosophy, stuff like this. And yeah, shout out to everyone, right? We're a global community, so maybe I'm more excited about, I want random 53-year-old Korean chick to be able to go goon on down, with a Jamaican dude and be the next I Show Speed instead of one guy in a studio. I want to see like a Korean grandmother gooning with an island boy, island boy making a big time. Everything gonna be Irie, right? We are all brothers and sisters, family. Yeah. So I think as an American, I do believe I have a responsibility for some part of the story of Black folk. Anti-racism isn't anti-history. It's also not anti the identities we've ascribed to people. And this is amazing because it's so easy. There's music, food, culture, and history and philosophy, right? So, when people like Charlie Kirk say we have to hate things, we have to kill the story of MLK, I say, well, there's music, food, sex, art, culture, history, and philosophy. It becomes way easier that way. I don't know. People ask me all the time if I'm Jewish. I don't know how to answer that question. I don't think so, right? I don't know. I haven't done 23andMe and seen if I can go on my birthright trip or something. But yeah, I despise anti-Semitism. I have no special asphyxiation with Judaism. Zionism is a pretty unremarkable but learnable, right? It's a learnable philosophy, just like a lot of other ideologies, right? I wouldn't tell everyone, this is the dumbness to me, because I wouldn't tell people go read Thomas Paine Common Sense. So why would I tell you okay, so I don't tell you go read Thomas Paine's Common Sense or like pore over whoever it is, Benjamin Franklin's Poor Richard's Almanac. So I also care as much as I care about anything else about Ba'athist literature or Zionist literature. I don't care if it came from Russia. I don't care if it came from Ukraine, Slava Ukraina, right? But I don't care about the thing that isn't actually practicing a better form of reality, to be totally honest. Somebody says, once you go Black, you won't ever go back. Yeah, I mean, that's cool. I think if that's how you want to represent your philosophy and aesthetic and identity, that's also cool. And yeah, cool. I mean, that's awesome, right? I think there's a lot of people, like different cultural ideas about how people occupy the same space is maybe a way to make it less exotic, right? Make it less exotic because you're still always talking to a person, right? It's not exotic for me to talk to someone from Russia or Ukraine, a Slavic person, Nate, Duck. It's not exotic for you to talk to a Russian or Ukrainian. It isn't exotic to talk to, a homegirl from Chile, Argentina, right? This isn't exotic, but you will have probably maybe different ideas or approaches about space, but that doesn't mean you can't sit down, share a conversation, share a chat room, right? Yeah, so respect, ultimate respect. Charlie Kirk had the intentions of a saint in love and respect. Do I smell IPA? I haven't had an IPA in a while. I became vegan and obsessed with my health. I became obsessed with working out, looking good, feeling good. So for me, I'm very anti-shame with like substances, or you guys that are gooners know it already. But yeah, cutting back on alcohol was a big part of my life. And yeah, so was cleaning up diets, just being a little more active, this kind of stuff. Marx is so hot, somebody says. Magnetism. Hell yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Marx, the actual Marx idea is cool. It's very nice. It's very good, like sort of, I think civility building. It speaks to problems that like when farmers would see that, hey, these guys are starting to buy my land now and they didn't used to do that. So why can't I have access to the capital? Or if I have a different philosophy or belief about, we should reinvest in this stuff because I'm scared of the other stuff too, right? Psst. Hey, I have my own idea, right? I'm not looking to take ideas on, not actually, guys. I'm not actually looking to take new ideas on. And yeah, so thanks for that comment. But yeah, Marx's secret hidden surprise at the end of the Communist Manifesto is that you're still going to go do violence. So I don't know what kind of idea it is. He's either prescribing it or predicting it, but yeah. Yeah. This makes no more sense. You got Charlie Kirk all wrong, buddy. Disagreement is not hatred. Right. Disagreement isn't hatred, but a person who says, well, my actual argument is that if it keeps me, the most important egotistical princess center of the show, to be uninformed, to inspire you to be uninformed, to be against the actual psychology and way brains process informations. And so basically, if I can just take a thimble of indoctrination and inspire you to do the same so I can be your hero, that is hatred, right? You hate the hard work that you would have to do. You hate the fact that a responsible or common sense person, a discerning person, someone who has an integrated brain and wants to be both judgmental and intuitive. We want to be able to see something, judge it, and intuit it. Right? Charlie Kirk was against these ideas, and he was against embracing the measurable reality of suffering that his fake form of neoconservatism produced. He wasn't a neoconservative, he was a nationalist. So you're saying I got Charlie Kirk wrong, disagreement is not hatred. Well, Charlie Kirk's disagreement was actually national, not neoconservative. It wasn't about challenging us back to national values. Charlie Kirk's version of it was that it is acceptable to rob, steal, and kill other people in order to benefit your own motherland. So Charlie Kirk was hateful. Charlie Kirk's disagreement was not with individual people. And finally, Charlie Kirk did inspire people to indoctrinate himself to cover up the actual truth of what Turning Point talks about. So you can disagree and I'll disagree back. And if you want to throw another one out there, who knows? Maybe I'll take it today or I'll take it tomorrow. Maybe you can send $100 for the next one of those I have to do. Why not send a red super chat, guys? Why not send some of the Husky and Corgi stickers in the chat? Why not send some laughing disco balls? Hey, Skeptic Philosophy, great to see you. We got Skeptic in the chat. Good to see you, dude. Hopefully you're having a great day. How do I feel about the collective fetishization of... Yeah, I don't, right? The internet called, and I'll just talk on this, my own experience, right? I don't consider this like intersectionality myself, but I'm sure there's people that do, who got stomped out of the workforce or like struggled to get a first interview, right? You can check all the disability boxes in the world. But like for me, the tech industry has gotten so against neurodivergent people in the workforce. Even if I'm very common sense oriented, like it doesn't matter. But like, yeah, there's just like, they will say, well, just because you're not a dipshit who ignores reality. And when you talk, like for me, my psychology is when I talk, I naturally want to go a little wider. I naturally want to go to the source of something. And so it's annoying personally, but as a 36-year-old, I've adapted to it a little bit. And so, yeah, my honest opinion about this is the injustice, the fetishization is I'd rather just go back to my high-paying job. I love you guys, but I would also love having a couple hours to stream with you guys here, maybe 30 minutes on lunch, and go do the thing that I've done for the majority of my 36 years. And yeah, who knows, do it better, save some money. But I love it here. I'm not complaining about social media. You guys know, some of you guys see me around in chats on YouTube mobile shorts or supporting other creators. I spend a lot of time doing it. I mean it authentically. But yeah, saying that neurodivergents are neurospicy is another way to say that you're a neuro asshole, right? I'm not a neurospicy. I don't know what the fuck that is. And so saying that you have some word for it just makes you the asshole, right? It means that you want your voice to be louder. You're not actually, yeah. So explain to me. So here's this. I was talking about this earlier. Not to sound like a D-bag, but explain to me if I'm neurospicy. What was neurospicy about earning a $24,000 direct deposit when I was in my 20s, right? And I'm sorry, right? I'm in the United States. I was very successful at some stuff. But yeah, I ended up quitting a job and then I'm making 3 or 4 or 5 times as much as I used to be because I found a new job that I'm good at. And so I get direct deposits. What was neurospicy about me making the company money and making a $20,000 direct deposit, or having regularly an $18,000 month, or just seeing that, I have a biweekly $7,000 or $8,000 paycheck and that's the base, right? To me, there is nothing that is like that's not that much, but that is a lot, but there's nothing that is neurospicy about that stupid stuff. So when people say, and I'm sorry to sound like a D-bag who used to make a ton of money, and you can go spend it all on whatever it is you want. Yeah, I'm 36 years old. Yeah. And so I don't believe in, I'm not saying that learning disabilities, but different learning disabilities, or just differentness, or when you're talking about it in that sense, saying that there's neurodivergence that can range from DSM stuff, right? Put it on the table, put it on a piece of paper on the table. There's DSM stuff. There's learning disabilities or whatever. I don't know about all that stuff. And then, personality affects or effects, affects about things, whatever. It can range. So I'm not saying that I deserved a special silver platter. I don't believe that I got a huge landing pad because I was born slightly different or whatever. I don't know. I still don't know. I question myself. I gaslight myself about stuff. But yeah, I'm not a neurospicy. I don't know what the fuck that means. I've never been a neurospicy. I'll never know what the fuck that means. And no, I don't like it when I see people say, well, are you autistic, or are you are you a psychopath? This kind of stuff. It's cool. Well, somebody actually is, right? Somebody actually is. And they probably don't identify as such for 99% of their life. So why are you bringing up the 1% of that person's life or time that has nothing to do with how they relate to you? It means absolutely nothing. So that's how I feel about that. Somalians need more, and you're not Somalians. Yeah, so you're going to echo conspiracy theories of the type that Charlie Kirk, as well as Donald Trump, as well as Turning Point, you're Tim Pool, right? You're going to echo these conspiracy theories. Joe Rogan wanted to make millionaires. Joe Rogan wanted to make people millionaires because they would talk about racist conspiracy theories, because they would talk about flat earth. So it's funny, right? Alex Jones is all fun and games, and then all of a sudden he's got, he's building an incel community, and you're a bad guy because you believe in the incel or troll community, right? This isn't a real thing. But then again, you see that there's conspiracy theories, there's money underlying it. And so it's absolutely insane to me. You absolutely have a right to have intuition or judgment, to feel some way, to place those things in the world, and to just not ever see it or think about it that much, right? I can tolerate it, absolutely, right? I'm not a political extremist. I never have been. I've always been very anti-violence, very pacifist. Tolerance is a question way different than that too. But yeah, these guys are a little wild. They wild out quite a bit. I don't understand, because my He Abdullah, hello. My name is Nathan. Online, my name is Duck. The YouTube channel is Ducksy. It's good to see you. Hi, hello. My name is Duck. Hey, cool. Yeah, Austin. I hope you feel like you have security, right? Who knows? I'm not going to pry and ask what it's for, or what you had to do to apply, what the legal process is like to keep it. But I hope you get to work on yourself a little bit. And I also hope you feel that sense of security. If you've got money coming in, that's awesome, dude. Do I want to do a mega bloodbath tonight? Yeah, Taco, I'll bother you on Discord after this. Yeah, I will. Yes. You think the beard looks good, but it doesn't. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah. I like the beard. And yeah, people can fuck around a little bit and tell me my beard is ugly, but at the end of the day, technically it's not, right? So technically it's just what grows from my face. It's neither ugly nor pretty. I don't have an opinion on it. I have literally no opinion on it. And so that's, to me, the hard work of keeping this beard is just showing up with it and then listening to guys like you, Austin. That's all I have to do. I regret some of the things I did in my past, and some wonder if I'm a psychopath. Hey, Mio Zombie, I wouldn't know you. I don't think anyone should introduce those ideas to you. Thank God for President Trump and our ICE agents. Amen. Hey, Sleepy Time videos. Yep. So thanks for sharing your belief or opinion. I would hope that you have a coherent worldview, just because I would hope that generically for anyone. And I also don't understand how we can, I don't understand how we can be showing political support for an organization that's committed tens of thousands of civil rights violations and has killed people in the street with no accountability, and you're supporting the person who kept half of the people employed or kept them employed for months after this happened. So yeah, but maybe a softball, right? Maybe a softball back to you, Sleepy Time, or any of my good friends. If you guys have some conservative values like I do, maybe it's the case that I can ask, well, where the fuck is Kristi Noem? Where's Todd Lyons now? Where did these guys go? How do you sleep at night, right? Like those are, like, to me, a more realistic question is that you should be like, okay, so all this kind of stuff, but whatever. Somebody asked if I'm concerned about the developing mind. Yeah. So if anyone in chat, you're age 17 through, let's just say 29, it still takes time for our prefrontal cortex and everything to finish developing our critical thinking skills, patience, being able to think about things over time, create plans, stick to the plans. And so, evidence-based parenting, also being tuning your algorithm. I'm obviously not a developmental psychologist. I'm obviously not an educator. So those are a couple things that I would look toward. Does God exist? You don't need to learn about God. You don't need deconstruction. I don't know, Taco, whatever you think. You don't need any of those things. I don't need any of those things. I heard a huge percentage of government spending is now in military. Do I get to debate? Are you going to get Andrew or Rachel to call in from MDD? Yeah, if you can get Andrew or Rachel to call in. Yeah. I do not love Jesus. I do not love Jesus. Yeah. Can't you type in whatever it is, Farsi or Arabic? Abdullah, can't you type in Farsi or Arabic and YouTube will translate it? Can't you turn it for this? What about Allah? I'm not a Muslim, right? I'm not a Muslim, not a Christian. So I don't believe, and yeah, so I don't believe in any of that stuff. I don't know what I'm supposed to say, why I'm supposed to say it. So, okay, cool. Allah is God, right? This guy feels that way. This guy feels that Allah is God. Why though? Why? Okay, cool. I don't care. I would never ask why. Okay, why? Yeah. Mega bloodbath knows. Mega bloodbath debates. Yeah. Get in line. Do the sign. Da 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 da. 1v1 bloodbath engage. Yeah. I think that's right. All right, I'm gonna vote for Meow Zombie. You can go be president, Meow Zombie. Allah Akbar is God's bigger. God is bigger. Okay. What about backing up into it though? You don't want me to think about I back up Allah Akbar, right? Okay, so Alhamdulillah. So Abdullah says Allah Akbar is God is bigger. I say to this. Metaphysics, reality, right? Metaphysics and reality. I back up. There's no bigger God. Where is he? Right? No, it is. I back up, and there's no God. God doesn't exist, right? It's reality, right? It's reality, and I interpret reality. So you. Alhamdulillah. And I say it's reality, right? I can cover up my eyes, and my version is clear-sighted, right? My version is clear-sighted. It is an interpretation of reality. Your version has it has more text, right? It has text and prayers. My version has science. My version has science, and then I forget I was a scientist. God is greater. Ahmad Allah, thank you, God. Will God let us believe we've created God? Yeah, I'm a big believer. If you have faith, right? But if you have faith, this doesn't change the physical thing, right? I press this button. Every time I press this button, the light goes on. If the circuit isn't broken in this, every time I press the button, the light goes on, right? God cannot come in and say, it doesn't work. It does work. It does work. There it is. It does work. God doesn't care about this. God doesn't care about this. God is not singular, right? God cannot be singular, at least. Okay, so alhamdulillah, God cannot be singular. Christian God, praise be to God. Praise Jesus. Amen. I'm a good Christian man. But the Christian God cannot be singular because he doesn't care about this. He's not stopping it. Hey, what's up, Joe King Buffalo? Good to see you. Shout out to you, brother. We are expressions of God. How so? Where did God come in when I press the button and the light goes on? He didn't come in anywhere. God doesn't describe causality. Raw, look at how strong we are. Hey, Kate McDougall, good to see you. Hey, shout out to you. Good to see you, Kate. Cool. Can you just type it out instead of copy pasting, Kate? I like you being here. I like you being wherever you are. It's really great. Do you want to buy me some vegan hair gel? Mom? Mama, I just killed a man. I just hopped into my ride. It was Vanta Black and now I'm fly. Mama, Draco's just begun. And now the whole block's trying to run away. Bum, bum. Mama, I just blicked the ops. I don't want to die. But maybe my chain will still be on my neck tomorrow. Run away, as if nothing really matters. Somewhere where the wind blows, nothing really matters to me. To me. Thank you, Kate. Why say Muhammad? Say peace be upon him. Yeah, sure. How can we forget about those girls' schools in Iran? Yeah, absolutely. Uncle Sam blew up some schools and whatnot. Yeah, Uncle Sam killed 200 teachers. Happening in Sudan too, right? All over. Donald Trump is like everyone else who said political violence is more important than people's safety. People's safety is not one of the questions that people are asking right now. So whatever. I don't want to die. Come back. Hey, Scorpion, I've just subbed. Can you give me a shout out, please? Hey, what's up? I'm holding 2 dicks. Oh, cool. Gotcha. Hey, I don't mind. Shout out to you, and whatever it is to you, it is to you. So shout out to you, Scorpion. People may ad block. People may ad block heat. Yeah, very funny. Shout out to you. I don't know what you're talking about. I have no clue what you're talking about, but okay, cool. Hey, Comfy Numb, what up? How you doing, brother? How you doing, brother? I don't know what that has to do with anyone. or anything. Yeah. Hello, everyone all around the world. Yeah. I don't know what you actually want. Yeah, cool. Shout out to you guys. My name's Nathan. I go by Duck Online. It's not very nice to ask if someone is mentally ill. That makes zero sense. You know, a type of person that will say or do that. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. Consciousness is such a strange thing. Heck yeah, it is. Cool. What are your thoughts on Hassan Piker? I don't care about Hassan Piker. Hassan Piker is also, like Charlie Kirk, deeply uneducated. Hassan Piker, whatever he claims to be, a democratic socialist or a progressive or whatever, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He has no way to support his arguments. Hassan Piker electrocuted his dog on a stream. Hassan Piker will sell his soul for a media spot. He wants you to think that because he's got the internet and streaming capabilities or something, that you should go listen to him. So yeah, is that not true? Right? And so when you are too afraid to turn off the stream or to admit you went too fast or admit you don't know what you're talking about, or you do all that too, right? Then you're just like Charlie Kirk. You're just like Charlie Kirk. You figured out the way to just fit in the middle and not be anyone, not talk about anything. Yeah, Donald Ducky, cool. Yeah, that's awesome. So I don't really believe in Hassan Piker because you asked about that. And yeah. Am I in a big city? I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah. So Phoenix is a pretty big city. I'm in the Southwest United States. Yeah. Yeah. And so Hassan Piker thinks that, my impression is him and Anna Kasparian think they can have a global audience and be globally relevant. And they're not, right? They offer dumb opinions. They tell people to just go be religious zealots. Go be a zealot, right? Not an extremist, but a zealot for sure, based on dumb reasons. Yeah, Phoenix is a huge city, so yeah, whatever. Yeah, that's awesome, right? If I'm not back sometime tomorrow, carry on, as if nothing really matters. Yeah, what's up? What's up? You want to talk about something? I talk like everyone else, right? Everyone talks funny. Hello, friend. Hello. Can you bring me my future wife? What does that have to do with anything? That has nothing to do with anything anyone in the chat is talking about. Avoid those, right? Those are avoidable. In some sense, explicitly derailing chat is a hard task, right? Explicitly derailing chat is easy for you, and it's hard for people to keep up then. We can talk about politics, philosophy, life, culture, society. We can talk about being a little more deliberate in our own lives, being a little more deliberate. Hey, what's up, DD? Good to see you. Appreciate that. Yeah. Am I supposed to say I feed off the haters? What if I told you that actually hurts my feelings? What if I told you that I think it's personally noteworthy that you don't avoid speech like that when you don't know me, dude? Whatever. Welcome to the stream too, right? Of course, I don't actually care. I respect you as a person, but that's what I would say back to that. What music did you listen to while growing up? I listened to Say Anything, Linkin Park. When I was really young, Aqua. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. That was the kind of music that people played, right? That was the music. People played that type of music. The music that people played was not the music of the universe. It was the music of como se dice Universal Music Group. Como se dice Sony Global. Como se dice, how do you say, Alhamdulillah, how do you say Disney? Yeah. So I listened to the same music as everyone else when I was growing up. And for me, it was always the case that, yeah, I just liked the music I listened to. I could listen to music I knew and liked on repeat that's maybe healthy or unhealthy. Hey, vaccinator, how are you doing today? I hope you're doing good. Yeah. How are you doing? Are you doing okay? Good. That is not philosophy bringing up my future wife. Okay. Yeah. So you're going to, yeah. Okay, cool. Sick. Yeah. Cool. What's the most eye-opening book you've ever read? I don't have an answer to that question. I don't know if there's one eye-opening book. The Social Contract by Jean-Jacques Rousseau is a conservative or safe answer. Or something. It's something like that. I don't know. Okay, cool. Yeah. What else? Which other one was it? Yeah. John Stuart Mill's writings. John Stuart Mill's writings are very clear, so they're very utilitarian. They're very easy to approach. John Rawls is okay. John Rawls, I don't think John Rawls should be taught in. It should maybe be maybe introduced, but John Rawls and Nozick are actually really advanced reading. I would be very surprised if someone under the age of 30 actually understood John Rawls and Nozick. So from a political philosophy perspective, those ones definitely. What's a good job in the near future? I don't know, whatever you're passionate about, wherever you can learn, right? Here's the reality is some people know a lot. Some people have like really, really strong knowledge. And that still doesn't mean that you are going to make a ton of money, whatever it is, $100,000 a year. Doesn't mean you're going to make $10 million in your lifetime. It doesn't mean you're going to make $10 million or $100 million this decade. So I would recommend a job where you can learn, you feel respected and valued, and stay there as long as you can, right? Stay there as long as you can. Try to get the next job before you can. If you're doing full-time work, that's what's preferable, right? If you guys don't have the ability to find a full-time job, just go do what makes sense for you, right? Go be practical and pragmatic, right? So whatever you think. I'm done giving a fuck, quite frankly. I've given enough fucks about it, so I just don't anymore. Stop your pathetic and run for office like Donald Trump did. Run for office like Donald Trump did or something. Okay, cool. Yeah, that isn't coherent. Doug, I would go back inside the statement you just said, and I would recommend you search for what you meant. Whatever you actually wanted to talk about, Doug, I don't feel like that's it, but shout out to you. Yeah, you might just be saying I'm angry and upset, and cool. In that case, cool. You're allowed to be angry and upset. You want to put it on me. It's actually not like that. It's actually probably about this big, right? That's the reality of it. I can become that too, right? I'm a Buddhist. So of course, it's a little absurd. My ontology, my being can be like whatever it is that you want it to be. And yeah, and cool. Whatever you have on you that you want to share with me, feel free. Those are cool too. Yeah, that's awesome. And then I'll show you, if you're tough like me, you're a tough guy like me, I'll show you mine after you show me yours. You show me whatever it is you wanted to work on and do, and then I'll show you mine. How's that? How does that work out? I live with myself, right? I live with myself every day. So there you go. Very practical advice. My field is IT, cybersecurity. Cool. Congratulations. Yeah, congratulations. Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like you have a subjective opinion of your industry and field. It sounds like you have work to do right now and you shouldn't be chatting here. So your field is IT cybersecurity. It sounds like you have opinions that are not based in reality, to be totally honest. It sounds like you have misalignment. Yeah, it doesn't sound like you have a grip or a grasp on whatever the world is doing right now. So I would recommend working on that. Why don't you go do that? Go find a new Discord, go engage LinkedIn posts or something, whatever you want to do. But I would recommend getting yourself back out there. Go research something, try to add realistic, real world value, because just the way you ask that question makes me think that you have something to do that isn't being here. So shout out. Congratulations also, of course. You have those skills. Congratulations. I want a job, can never be fired from. Yeah, that's awesome. Supreme Court Justice. Any book recommendations on Buddhism? No, I would recommend having free time first, right? You can go find any of the sort of old Buddhist texts, and yeah, enjoy them, right? Here. Here you go. Here's the Ducks Y recommendation coming in hot. There is the Ducks Y recommendation for just whatever. I can communicate with cats. Congratulations. I've been doing YouTube for about 2 years. Yeah, doing YouTube for about 2 years or whatever you say. This is a secret. What is it? What was it? What was it? I forgot what it was. I don't know. I actually don't know right now. I don't know what it was, but yeah. Yeah, Sandeep, I mean, you're welcome to offer very, very comfortable words for you. Yeah, exactly. You can say comfortable things for yourself that are uncomfortable for other people. Cool. Congratulations. I hope you're okay. Right? I really hope you're okay. So there's good and bad in that, right? Cubby cushy cubby gum, brother. Is this a secret? Hey, get off the channel, brother. You got to get off the channel. I hate to break it to you. Yeah. It's Lorna Davis and her husband, Bill Davis. Cool. Absurdism. I love absurdism, Tony. Beta Chaudhry. I don't speak Hindi, so I can't speak Hindi. Yeah. If I could, I don't know what I could speak Hindi about or how I would learn. Yeah. You guys can send me a red super chat in US dollars. I'm in the US, so I accept small super chats, small donations from anywhere. If you guys are in the US and want to send me a red super chat, yeah. $400 to me. I don't have to beg for money for a month. So to me, $400 US means I don't beg for money for a month. So if you guys can help me with an extra $200, that gets me over the line. And I'm at least good for a month and a half. I could even upgrade the stream equipment a little bit. I could get the software, that kind of stuff, and also afford to buy groceries, pay for food, that kind of stuff. So if anybody wants to send any kind of super chat donation, Corgi Husky stickers, those gems, or you want to go support your favorite streamer, yeah, do what you can to support me, guys. Yeah, I told you guys, I used to, having a direct deposit for over $20,000 in one direct deposit is huge. And yeah, I left that world and I couldn't be happier. I would never complain about doing social media. And it's also because you guys in chat are awesome. The audience, you guys are the audience. Sometimes you guys become the star of the show and stuff like this too. I hope it's a lot of fun here. You guys feel appreciated and special. I hope that's true. And then, yeah, if you guys want to support the channel in any sense, that also helps me a lot. But yeah, the audience, you guys chat, you guys make it worth it and keep it going for me. So thank you. I don't know those words, dude. I can't do it now. I can't do it now that you kind of told me what we're doing. I'm not Russian. No, I'm not Russian. I'm not Russian. I don't know any Russian people because my government is mean, right? Uncle Sam, the United States, not very nice to Russia. And so for that reason, right, I used to work with, one of my companies had some guy that lived in Russia that was now in Sweden, and he was a developer for this company. So yeah, so like I've kind of like, hello, so hello Russia. My name is Nathan. My name's Duck. Hello, Russia. I'm Nathan. I'm Duck. Hello. Yeah, absolutely. Hello. Hello. Yes. Yes. Hello. 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 My name is Duck. My name is Nathan. I'm Nathan. I'm Duck. Good to see you guys. Shout out everybody. $8. Hey, see, that's an offer. That's an offer, right? The homie says, I'll teach you some Hindi slang that you can say to rude Indians. No, I don't want to be rude back though. I don't want to be rude back, right? I don't want to be that rude back, you know? No, people come in here being honest and stuff too. So I'm sorry. I say mean things. I shout out people that I shouldn't shout out. And yeah, nobody likes to feel like they're less than someone else. No one likes to wake up not feeling like they had a good day. And so I really don't want to be that. Hey, we got DBSH. Good to see you, homie. Shout out to you guys. Hello, do you know Korean? Nah, G1. 0. No Korean. I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry, ma'am or sir. I don't know any Korean. I'm sorry about that. No Korean. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know any Korean. Nope. Un poquito. Pablito. Me llamo Duck. Oops. Ow. Oh, shit. Hey, thanks, Lessons. Have a good day. God bless, right? That's what you told me, so God bless. Have a good day. Shut up. I'm sorry. I didn't think, I was just saying hi. No, I was saying I don't know Korean. I don't speak any Korean. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know any Korean. Oh, hi. Okay. Go ahead and teach it then. Go ahead and teach it up, guys. Teach it up. Go ahead and teach it up, everybody. Okay, let's hear it. Let's hear it, everybody. Let's go. Teach me a little. Do you play Delta Force? I did back in the day. What up? What up? What up, Licks 82701? I used to on PC. Yeah, Delta Force 2 I played. Yeah, it was fun. I want to play Army now. I want to play Army. No, I used to play Delta Force, the video game, but then I played Halo, right? Halo made all other games obsolete. That hasn't changed, bro. What? What are you talking about, dude? What are you talking about? No. 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 The word you said before, I didn't even memorize it. I didn't learn it, bro. I can't go. I'm not going to scroll back up. Scroll back up. No way, bro. I'm not even doing that. I'm not going to scroll back up. We're just talking now. I'm on my YouTube channel. I'm not going to scroll back up. I don't care, dude. I don't care. I don't care, dude. I'll Google swear words. Next time you come back, you can check my habits. You can check my habits and see how I'm doing. Yeah, next time I come back up, you guys can check my habits and see how I'm doing. Oh my God. Done, 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 done. Whoops. No, it ain't. Oh, I'll be right back, guys. I'm gonna get yelled at by YouTube. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Oops. All right, guys. So we're back. We're back. Welcome to Ducks Y. I'm gonna go ahead and take down this silly super chat goal. I'm gonna go ahead and resume the stream. Whoops. Let's see. All right, we've got demon. We've got lessons. Power button. Okay, cool. I am going to. I'm going to set an easy mode. Cool. Give me a second. Let me just go ahead and set this stupid goal up. So the goal is set. The goal is set. Cool. Yeah, and so if you guys, I just set a new goal for super chats and for those gifts. Again, I love the corgis and huskies, but all of them are super helpful. They hype the stream. And so, yeah, you guys help me not need to ask for money. If you guys donate on YouTube, that's cool. Obviously, you're welcome here. You're the point of all this. So you guys support me in this. And yeah, the obvious point is hopefully I can help you guys have a little bit of fun, enjoy your day, answer questions and stuff like this. So I'm going to go back in. I'm going to jump into another topic in political science. Yeah, and we're going to, let's go here. Cool. So we're going to talk about rational choice theory. And I'm going to place this for you guys. I'm going to go down and hopefully I'm still. So this is a political science topic that we can talk about. So I pinned the message up. Hopefully you guys can see that too. We got rational choice theory. So why is rational choice theory so powerful? Well, because it's talking about individuals. What a weird thing, because you guys know that India is a big country. Iran is a big country. Israel, Palestine, the European Union. What about China, Russia, the United States, Canada? These are all big countries. And so normally we have guys like Hans Morgenthau or scholars like, Ollie Weaver, who talks about nation states. They talk about things like the African Union, or they'll talk about things like NATO. And we kind of wonder what splits the difference, right? Why can't we always just study the behavior of the United States? Why do we even think in the first place in terms of Donald Trump and Silvio Berlusconi in Italy? Or why do we think in terms of world leaders? Why is it the case that generals or important people like Kofi Annan in the UN, why is it the case that we see these people gaining political significance? And rational choice theory is one of the tools that political scientists use to stay grounded. That's right. That's right. This isn't only supposed to explicitly talk about large-scale events that happen on the world stage, as well as how smaller-scale actors make decisions, but it's also supposed to live within a society, live within a polity, a body politic, live within a Westphalian nation state. And so this is how political science works. Why do liberals say the women supports rights and then welcome Islam? And so we might talk about this with rational choice theory. And rational choice theory says individuals, like we were talking about, make political decisions. They make political decisions by weighing costs and benefits. So political decisions come down to costs and benefits in some sense. Political decisions are informed by weighing costs and benefits. So information is about costs and benefits. It's competitive. It's strategic, folks. It is strategic. And so though real behavior often deviates from this model, Cool. So here's what we're going through. Right now. Here's what we're talking about right now. So if we're looking at how someone ought to see the world, rational choice theory might say that someone like Joe Biden or Donald Trump, any president, might look at the economic costs and benefits. They might look at whether those economic costs and benefits are explicitly or implicitly or create systems that improve diplomatic relations or worsen them, right? And so you have to look at the physical costs and inputs. You might also look at short and long-term calculus to try and understand why you have linear or intuitive logic. This is what rational choice theory is about. And this sounds different than the United States. If you're in the United States, wouldn't it just make sense that more free trade is better than less free trade? It would just make sense that that more circular economies, more efficient economies make the most sense in your allies' countries, right? It makes the most sense in the US. However, an individual may not see things this way. It could just be the case that those types of questions are either out of reach or that information isn't personally relevant to that person's worldview. A great example is Donald Trump wants to punish Korea. Donald Trump has wanted to punish Korea and much of the rest of the world. He's wanted to take thank you messages. So for Donald Trump, his weighing of the costs and benefits looks at his electoral chances. It perhaps looks at the extremism and the comfortability factors of his own sort of domestic political agenda. So rational choice theory, and if you're with me, this starts not sounding like we're talking about nation states. It doesn't sound like we're talking about structural bodies like the UN or the African Union or BRICS. It starts sounding quite a bit more like we're talking about just people and Maury Povich, but that doesn't make entire sense, right? And so giving Donald Trump credit where credit's due means we take him seriously. So he thinks that the most competitive thing is the United States has strong leadership and that we keep going toward like an America first mercantilist economy. Right. So he's allowed to think like this. No, it's not grounded in any sense of reality. But in some sense, we can detangle or detach how individual politicians actually act and absorb information based on other factors. Right. And so I'm just going to leave that there. And there we go. So that's a political science topic. I'll go through and come say what's up and hi. Good to see everybody. January 6th was a domestic terror attack. Someone says incited by Trump and later pardoned by cop eaters, never forget. Yeah, January 6th was much worse than what politicians in the media led on. And so, when people say that there's violent leftists in the government, or first it was a swamp we needed to drain, then it's violent leftists. Before this, it was say nothing, do nothing Democrats, right? So the Tea Party said the Democrats didn't do anything. Then that didn't work. So there was a conspiracy theory. Conservatism still seemed to be falling off and dropping in the United States. And so instead of asking about that, then you go on and say, well, it's not a deep state conspiracy and a swamp, but it's the fact that now everyone's a violent leftist. And so who knows what this actually responded to in reality? My guess would be it's absolutely nothing. It's precisely nothing. And so January 6th was a domestic terrorist attack, someone says. And yeah. And so even politicians who have been very harsh on Trump's rhetoric, Steve Bannon's rhetoric, and so Trump and Steve Bannon's rhetoric, when we look at who's actually part of CPAC and we look at who has ambition and goals in the electoral system, they want to achieve policy objectives within the legislature, and they maybe have views of how the federal and state system operates in the US. People have let it go down to the fact that, well, Donald Trump is separate from Fox News, but absolutely Fox News' rhetoric contributed to the January 6th riot, right? You have this group of people. It's not that your voice isn't heard anywhere, because apparently there's several hundred of you. It's the same people who went to do a race-based protest in Charlottesville. Who would have thunk it? Go figure. But yeah. So people like Nancy Pelosi are not these evil, wicked witches. They're not violent leftists. They're not deep state agents. They're not part of the Illuminati. They're not working for Ben Bernanke and the Fed. None of this, right? In fact, it turned out that as much as people wanted accountability and outcomes from the January 6th investigations, and then therefore the prosecutions as well, nobody really threw a big ruckus about pardoning criminals who went out and then committed more crime, right? You're a political criminal. This is the sort of ontology of your behavior, the ontological threat that you pose to national security or to individual liberties in any sense, right, is connected to the fact that you were in prison from January 6th. So you then also go and reoffend. And so you hate to see it, right? You obviously hate to see any recidivism. And yet there it is. And so the fact that, you is yet another shill talking point that we see from top influencers like Patrick Bet-David, from Tim Pool, right? I'm not an anarcho-libertarian. I support liberty and freedom, or I like Ayn Rand. I'm anarcho-libertarian. No, you're a clown, right? You don't know how to interpret reality. You lost the ability and skill to do that. And so January 6th, if you want to call it a domestic terror attack, what it was an insurrection. It was an attempt to usurp the US government, and it was an attempt to do this consequentially by overcoming a political process. So I believe there was plenty of physical evidence to prosecute more harshly. I believe Charlie Kirk should have been in jail for the rest of his life for contributing to an attempted insurrection, which he knew of, right? There was enough specific information. And so saying that Charlie Kirk was just haphazardly part of a, when we think about civil society weighing in on the success or failures of the Justice Department, now with the James Comey stupid indictment, the SPLC stupid indictment. My opinion is absolutely Charlie Kirk not only worked for an organization which was known to be racist, known to be clumsy, known to be uninformed, uneducated, known to voice extremist beliefs personally. But Charlie Kirk actually financially supported an extremist event in the January 6th protests. So Charlie Kirk should have been in jail for life. And I still believe that as well. Hey, this is called a faux hawk, guys, right? Some people had perfect faux hawks, but if you guys didn't know faux hawks, the millennial hairstyle, I would usually floof my front would end up getting floofed. I'm 36, so I'm too old. I don't look normal with it. Maybe it looks like a cool guy hair like that. But yeah, this is what millennials did to look cool or is just lazy. So sorry, guys. Yeah, 5 head moves right there. 5 head moves. Hey, what's up? I don't know who Dan Blazarian is. I don't gamble, but thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate it. Cool. I don't know where I'm going to understand that. MAGA's trash. Yeah, trash MAGA. Hey, random user, shout out to you. Hey, Ben, strong leadership. USA is corrupt. If we say anything about freeloading, we are racist. Yeah, that's right, Ben. Thank you. Ben338. Here you go. I'll show you how that works, buddy. We'll catch you later. Yeah, please do subscribe. We talk political science, politics. Not all of this is ramrodding political opinions. If you felt that's what I was doing, I would hope if your response wasn't the Jews, then we probably could have had a conversation, but it was. And so, yeah, again, that's not about anyone here personally or whatever. But yeah, come back. I like taking scholastic academic approaches. I like producing reproducible sort of conversations, ideas that are worth having. No two streams hopefully are exactly the same. And so come back and let's have an actual conversation. Thank you. Yeah, but I'm not going to do anti-Semitism. Why do that's old. It's called utilitarian strategic to be kind of also doesn't have to be. Yeah, hey, cool. Cool. Yeah, people that are willing to exploit, steal, take, people that are willing to discount others' opinions and ideas, and are also not willing to go seek out the best idea. This is one of the crazy parts to me is, when I was an 18-year-old, I did some stupid stuff. And obviously every 18-year-old is not smart enough to avoid trouble, but every 18-year-old is smart enough to know what they did wrong and know what they could do in the future, right? You're smart enough to build a plan or to learn something, build some wisdom. And so when we say that there's people like Donald Trump or the anchors at Fox News who stole from people, they stole time, they stole brain cells, they stole compassion, they produce the inverse of these things. There's not a single person who actually thought they were working in the common interest. There's not a single person who thought they were working based on what is in the national interest or what is in the national character. These are people who, when you took away their benefit, these are not people who would be standing out on a street corner saying the same things. And so it's absolutely despicable, the apology that Donald Trump and MAGA have basically laid out, by firing half his cabinet, by attempting to tone down the political rhetoric is unacceptable, right? You have not apologized. You've not gone back and told me what it was you did wrong in the first place. And so unacceptable means not accepted, right? Stay within 1,000 feet from my civilization. This is my world. It's going to be our kids' world in the future. You don't get to voice your opinion once you've proved that you're not capable of self-management. You would agree with that, right? So if you're not capable of self-management, you can voice an opinion to millions of people and not represent that you don't understand that, or you do understand that, or whatever it is exactly. I don't know how that works in your head, but it sounds and looks and feels like you have brain damage. Yeah, my beard is pretty thick. Magus trash, somebody says. Panarchy Theater says he moved money around for Republicans. That was his sole use. He was not an extremist. I don't know what that means. I'm not putting together where in the world is that a Leviathan in your background too? So shout out to you, but I don't understand what it means. Hey, thanks, Master Blaster. Good to see you, homie. Master Blaster, the Master Blaster. Appreciate you. Are you planning on talking with the Orthodox Muslim? Yeah, somebody suggested I go talk to Orthodox Muslim. It seems like he does long form conversations focused on religion. So sure, if he wants to invite me up or something, I'm a very small YouTuber, but whatever. I don't see his channel needing my support specifically right now. It looks like he's got a good thing going. It looks like he's got guests that don't say the Jews every second or third word. And yeah, if you guys want to go argue about not being religious extremists, I support that, right? I don't agree with any of your beliefs, but if you guys want to talk about religious extremism or something like that, well, to me, it's more of it than you think it is. But yeah, have fun. I don't know that I'll join his channel. I do like Muslim Lantern. I don't mind Dawa, right? I don't mind doing counter Dawa or listening to Dawa. But also it's never going to be part of my political and social beliefs, not because I'm closed-minded, but because it is fucking stupid, right? So it is inferential or probabilistic, not a certainty, but with almost like a 99% certainty or probability. What I mean there is, yeah, I'm never going to be an apologist or do Dawa stuff. What? You've never banned me, but you ignore me. Hey, Fred Flintstone, I don't think I do. I remember your username, but when do you sleep? Are you AI? No, I'm on internet time for sure. I went to bed about 3 a.m. Arizona time yesterday. And so, yeah, I'm on the internet schedule of I went live today at about 9:30, 9:45 for the first time about then, I think. And yeah, this is my second stream. I might do another one. Whatever. That's it. Yeah, in reality. So stop your pathetic something and run for office like Trump did. Yeah, I don't know why people keep saying that. I don't need to think of my place in civil society or my sense of citizenship and civic duty as running for office. I'd rather support people navigating political conversations. It's what my education is about, and so who knows? I think it makes more sense to have 50 highly educated, insistent people in office, and to have people that are just willing to walk away from dumb conversations. Look at what Charlie Kirk and the MAGA Republican Party accomplished for themselves. You actually want to look at causality, basically all of it flowing from a giant pile of shit that didn't accomplish anything, didn't say anything, and yet there it was taking people's time and attention. Is you get 4 or 5 global wars. You have the US now pitching in severe ways to military spending. You have no line of sight on ecological devastation. And at the end of it, guess what? When it tumbles, people will be on the bottom of it. So you don't get your Make America Great exceptionalism. You don't get your America First exceptionalism because the world doesn't work that way. So yes, when the system tumbles back over because a poor Charlie didn't know how to read a fucking book while he was here, rest in peace, Charlie. Obviously, respects to the family. But yeah, when it tumbles, you don't get anything else back. And so Charlie wanted to fuck around in big systems. And what he learned from that was that no, your ideas don't produce change. Your ideas produce broken political processes at best. And so obviously Charlie was not the sole reason for broken political processes. There's never a reason or an excuse to commit political violence or even to consider it. And this is even true if Charlie Kirk's own form of rhetoric, it was pushing towards producing forms of death around the world. You still do not commit political violence because you don't solve the problem. The fact people don't want to talk about things. Militant atheism is not referring to extremism in terms of social or political violence, right? So militant atheists are, so extremists typically come from a socio-political group. There's typically a specific geography or area that a political extremist was born into or looks like. Maybe they have a specific digital footprint, right? Militant atheists, a militant atheist shops at the same grocery store and all this other stuff. I should join the military. No, I shouldn't. Why would I do that? I don't want to do that. I really don't want to do that. I want to read poetry all day. Do you want to read poetry all day or you don't? Why would I be reading poetry too, right? Why would I join the military if I literally could get a library card, literally could beg you guys for super chats, go to the used bookstore, I could go buy a frozen vegan pizza, and I could just read my book here like this all day, dude. Why would I join the military? I wouldn't. Hey, Dum Dum, cool. Yeah, star of the show, guys. If you guys want to elucidate, I don't know what he means. So if you guys can help your buddy duck out, I don't know. Sounds like a libtard. I don't know what a libtard is, neither do you. So cool. You have some clump of neurons that randomly fires and says that word. So you don't know what that means, I don't think. Right? I think you can talk down to the bottom of the corner of chat, but I don't think you can actually say what that means. Shout out though, welcome. Good to have you here. But yeah, militant atheists are not political extremists. They're socio-political extremists in every civilization, every society. Political extremism, non-state actors are a security threat. It's been talked about robustly since the 1990s. This can be either made worse or be attributed to religion, to economic factors, to environmental factors, right? So sometimes this is causality. I would have loved to teach Charlie Kirk this, that, yeah, the environment decays and gets worse. Global warming happens. And you also have economic growth stalls. So in a place like Egypt, who's banned the Muslim Brotherhood, you are both right next to really deeply the Sahel, the lower basin regions of the Niger Delta, the Niger River. And so in Egypt, you see about 1% actual GDP growth last year and about the same the year before. It's really bad. That's not a number a nation state likes to see. You also have literally starving, famine, disease happening. You've got ecological disasters like landslides happening all the time right beneath you and stuff like this, right? And so Egypt would look at national security threats and say, well, it's probably the case that when the environment's decaying, when we don't have jobs, we can't do anything. There's no support we ourselves can realistically provide, or we'll make the excuse if we can't really weaken ourselves endlessly to go support this if no one else wants to. No one else is neo-Hobbesian. We sure as shit aren't ourselves. That's not what neo-Hobbesianism is, right? Sure as shit, it's not just us. And so you've got environment, ecology, and then you see terrorism, or you see far right or far left political groups gaining traction, right? You see sort of a decay of mainstream culture. And this might lead to either defract society or political and social extremism. So in one sense, you're always going to have people talking about whatever. It could be Islam. It could be about capitalism. It could be about boats. It could be about anything, right? It could be about Donald Trump, like we saw at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. But an actual security professional, someone who worked in intelligence, would be placed or concerned with going to the actual root causes, as well as understanding the groups participating. So if Charlie Kirk didn't understand this, he loved talking about libtards, violent leftists. He loved talking about leftism. He loved pretending like he was above the rhetoric that he was producing. But again, he didn't actually do anything. So whatever. I'm a militant atheist. I decided religion was harmful in 3rd grade. Wow, that's a young age. I was not that. Hey, what's up, Shadow Throw Ape Neurons? I don't know. Yeah, absolutely. Kind of a little more narrow. They are also human neurons, right? If I can, if I am trying to fit a Bible inside of me, I want the Bible knowledge, but I'm also a capitalist, but I also vote Progressive Democrat. And so I see something that should challenge that. Well, what do I do? What do I do, right? What do I do if I see something in the world that is about or could be about those things? Well, I would think that a normal person goes to talk about it with their friends, family, internet, pastor, counselor. You join a sports team, you play video games, you do the normal things, you go out to eat, right? If you've never had pizza before and you fart the first time you have cheese, cool, become a vegan. I'm a vegan. But the reality of this actually is that, yeah, Charlie Kirk wanted Donald Trump to drive, and Donald Trump himself has driven, he's driven the drivers of extremism, and he also wants to reap the clout benefit. So Donald Trump lies to you about causality. He wants you to kill. Donald Trump has advocated for Islamophobia. He said that we should hurt and harm Muslims for the sake that they're Muslim. He said that we should starve and deprive Caribbean people of access to capital, of even respect, out of the fact that they're from the Caribbean. Donald Trump has said that we should disrespect and arrest and lock up Mexicans for the fact that they're Mexicans. These are all things Donald Trump supports in reality. And so, yeah. And so when you're talking about, to me, anti-extremism, part of it is about introducing honesty into the system. If no one's talking about if you don't feel your values are represented and you're poor, right, that's a recipe for political extremism. The opposite side of this is, yeah, there's never been a democracy that's collapsed because you're poor, right? It's never been just the case that someone becomes a political extremist because they're poor. We can look at things like the Sarnoff brothers, right? The Sarnoff brothers were the Boston Marathon bombers. They were not poor, right? They were not some exceptional form of poor. One was in college, one had these skills of, he was able to teach boxing classes. And so you see these two brothers, rumor has it one of them was a little business savvy. He maybe got into a little black market stuff. He wanted to, sell little, dime bags of the ganj or something like this. But the Sarnoff brothers, they left a pressure cooker device at the Boston Marathon. Very tragic, right? And one is still in jail, right? The younger, Jokar is still in prison, and his brother died, right? His brother got killed by the police. And they kidnapped someone, right? When they were trying to do a getaway, they had to steal gasoline, so they stole a car, right? They decided they had to steal gasoline. You didn't have to do that either. But yeah, so poverty doesn't produce political extremism alone, but lack of representation, perhaps that starts sounding closer. That's what I would say, is that starts sounding a little bit closer. Alphabet agencies. Yeah. You want to talk about what the 3-letter agencies actually look for and do. They violate your civil liberties. They take your taxpayer dollars. Maybe in some sense, from a national security perspective, small aspects of their budgets are the most efficient at keeping you safe. Because yeah, if people are peaceful 99% of the time, and then the 1% of the time is something that you look for or stop, right? That's maybe like the top of the iceberg in terms of low hanging fruit. And also just, hey, you can, there's no problem, right? The US could actually, even though Russia is an enemy of the United States, the US could work with Russia on something like this and be like, hey guys, do you know what? We both have this sort of problem. It doesn't have to do with oil or tariffs or taxes or sanctions or seized assets. So, hey guys, we'll work on this, but I want to tell you what's been working, what this is like for us. And people might say, well, there's no information sharing, but in reality, grown-ups have to decide things. The US and Russia have worked together for a long time based on threats to democracies, threats to political bases. It's not just our collaboration and global collaboration on science, global collaboration on discovery. It's also been global collaboration on accurate information about climate change, right? You always want accurate information about climate change. Climate change is happening. It's severe. This was voiced in the Senate in a EPA administrator, Lee Zeldin, someone who does not care one iota about the environment. To me, he came off as someone who hasn't done a day of research. He hasn't walked a cubic inch of the earth in his life. So to me, Lee Zeldin is incompetent. He's another MAGA nepotism hire. And yeah. Hey, what's going on, Trunchbull? Voice to skull, remote neural monitoring. Hey, that's all a little too conspiratorial to me, right? That's a little too conspiratorial to me. Look at the competitive logic or game theory, no offense. Hey, no offense, whatever. Hey, what do you guys want to do? Should I keep going? I might close the stream down. I don't know. You guys got something else to do? Probably, obviously, right? If you guys are new here, we usually do politics, philosophy, religion, and shiz. Yeah, if you guys like sleeping and shit, I'll keep talking, brother. Yeah, go watch Sin City. Go find Sin City free on YouTube. Sin City, great movie on YouTube. Dang, dude. I don't know what R&M even stands for, brother. Whoa. Discuss flock cameras. What those be? Do you debate politics? I would. I like preparing for debates, but I don't mind debating politics just off the cuff too. Yeah, I could. I could debate politics. Hey, what up, Soldier? God bless you. Thank you. God bless you too. Shout out, Soldier. The people who entrapped us into their script made the calendar and languages. All right. The Anunnaki, right? I don't know what the Anunnaki be. Hey, thanks, Underboss. Good to see you. No. I did not see it. Anunnaki are completely different. Okay, cool. What was I supposed to be talking about? SCOTUS Voting Rights Act. Louisiana map. I want to see the real thing. Louisiana versus Calais. Okay, so I got the actual document up here, so let's go through and read it. Yeah, I know enough to read. I ain't a legal scholar, but I know enough. I know a little something. These cases concern whether Louisiana's new congressional map is an unconstitutional racial gerrymander. In 2022, after the state redrew congressional districts, federal judge in Robinson versus Ardoin held that a 2022 map likely violated Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act of 1965 because it did not include an additional majority black district. But when the states drew a new map, the map was challenged as a racial gerrymander. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, really. I do. Thank you. Thank you. So I go looking for this now, right? This is the one we go looking for, folks. This is the one we go looking for. Let's see. Yeah. So they're saying that basically it doesn't satisfy a compelling interest that the lower court and the initial SB8 was not actually doing something that had enough to do with the Voting Rights Act. And so the rest, okay, so when the Supreme Court says what the state was doing doesn't have enough to do with the Constitution, they're going to then go, we would assume, and describe why they feel that's the case, what the factors they looked at, and how those things were legally decided. And so this seems like it's a shot at a philosophy, or what they would claim is an ideology or an interpretation. But it seems like it does feel like it is selective history a little bit, right? No compelling, and so a conservative Supreme Court, or a far right Supreme Court, a further right Supreme Court is able to make political decisions regarding state law, based on just how they defined history, right? And so this is constitutional conservatives that are saying, well, we can pick out the legal principle for history, but you can't, right? So this does seem like further right than, to me as a voter, further right than Dobbs versus Jackson. That's not what it says, though, right? Because you have to take that within the evidence. The evidence, to me, when you're looking at the actual, what the legal principle is. So what is the legal principle? Well, you're saying the legal principle, like the whole point is, if the decision isn't well written, you're saying that this moment of time in right? And so maybe it wasn't a good law. Maybe it's something that the state itself would have to overturn. But now you're saying that the Constitution has to support this view that this moment in time contained good enough everything, legal principle, situation, scenario to be interpreted. And so it's not the case that, right? To me, it sounds like, well, Ruth Bader Ginsburg wasn't woke, but you guys don't. So that's not like a crazier, a legalistic or a jurisprudence decision, because now it's the case that Supreme Court justices who are conservative can go find the snapshot or picture they want, and they can write an entire decision based upon the snapshot. Is that correct, or that's incorrect? Constitution is fine, fix the taxes, cool. Yeah. Fix the taxes in dollar to back off the gold. Yeah, well, just don't take the case, right? The other thing is a conservative Supreme Court doesn't have to do judicial realism. They can just not take these cases. You're allowed to do that for hundreds of years. The bumper sticker has been, don't take the case, right? That's the majority of it. Oh, but we just have to. We just have to. We had to do it, and this is how we had to do it, right? And the map is an Okay, I mean, I understand the argument. You know, yeah, but I mean, it doesn't entirely make sense because again, that snapshot isn't the complete political reality. So if you don't believe if you just don't believe that there's enough constitutional backing, why wouldn't you say, well, there's evidence there's long evidence in the expansion of suffrage that that the values of the democracy that are explicitly outlined in the Constitution don't consolidate right away. And so it is the case, it either is or isn't the case that you need to take broader historical views to understand what the Constitution meant to outline in a legal sense. And so this is no different, right? You're saying, well, it's at least saying that, well, everything Scalia said was bullshit. Everything Justice Clarence Thomas has said is bullshit, because everything that they've had is based on a disgusting meat-fueled version of the Constitution, right? You didn't get it all the way down, right? You assumed that political value or political values, norms, jurisprudence, whatever it is you want to say the Constitution was, and that the founding fathers cared about to produce the law, right? You want to say all of this stuff was just defined. And so, but no, your life work is completely, as it turns out, your life work is completely pointless. It means nothing in the world, right? It means nothing in the world. So you didn't have values in the first place. You didn't have values about integrity and honesty in the first place. And so now you go share you're not sharing your constitutional or your common law theory with the world. You're sharing your lack of values. You're sharing your intrepidness into your own self. However deeply buried that was or is, who knows? There you go. You did it in Dobbs versus Jackson, and you just did it again here, right? Don't take the case. Don't take the case, right? You dumb motherfucker. You're not a conservative, right? You are a far-right political extremist activist who happens to be in a robe. There you go. You wonder where it comes from, right? You wonder why people get upset. It's because of shit like this. That is, someone without a law degree can look at and say, well, look, I could at least be in the conversation. It's very stupid. Same reason we had the Electoral College, to prevent tyranny and the majority groups with smaller populations that have their voice respected. Yeah. And there's not a legal principle about someone's voice being respected, but there is absolutely the letter of the law and the spirit of the law is not a carte fucking blanche because respect is not a legal term, right? It's annoying. Jay, there was a Supreme Court case today, it's not that big of a deal, right? But the Supreme Court case overturned a ruling in Louisiana that redistrict because the argument was that a black group, there is a black group who basically wouldn't have their vote counted. And they said that this is substantively not grounded in the law. There isn't enough. It's now substantively not grounded in the law from the legal ruling. And this was because in some sense, whatever it is, there was a lacking substance, a lacking interest. The actual legal principle used was insufficient in the initial state law, right? And so you can't really. So the Supreme Court did have a right to rule on this, is what they said. The Supreme Court had the ability to say, well, these lower court cases and because the initial legislation is also not that good, substantively now this is subject to a Supreme Court decision. Yeah. And yeah, and so yeah, yeah. And so you could say in some sense that you know, do you ask the federal government to go back and define the civil rights movement? Does the Supreme Court in the federal government, the highest court in the land, define the civil rights movement? Or when something doesn't go your way, you feel it's political, they say it's legal and political, you know, do you allow voters to say, well, you guys really messed up, you guys cheated, and now we're going to punish you? You know, there's this extreme idea that flyaways don't come back, and it is a little frustrating. It should be frustrating. The idea is just as valuable. I love ducks. I love real life ducks. Yeah, I really love ducks. Yeah, real life ducks are amazing. I love ducks. All right, guys, I'm gonna tune out for a day. I gotta tune out for a little while. Thank you guys so much. Yeah, I appreciate you guys being here and everything else. And with all the things going on, I got to settle my brain a little bit and stuff like that, I guess. But good to see you guys. Thanks so much for being here. My name is Nathan Duck. I'll talk to you guys at some point in time. Yeah, take care.